Murder on the Victorian Express. Chapter 1. All Aboard, the Mysterious Passenger. The Victorian Express, a majestic steam locomotive, hissed and roared as it prepared to depart from London's bustling King's Cross station. A thick shroud of fog enveloped the platform, casting an eerie and mysterious atmosphere over the grand 1800s era station. The carriages, adorned with dark wood and red velvet, stood in anticipation, ready to carry their passengers through the night on this fateful journey. Among the gathering travellers, a solitary figure stood on the platform, her presence a striking contrast to the bustling crowd. Detective Jane Parsons, a woman of exceptional intuition and remarkable deductive skills, was about to embark on a journey that would challenge her abilities like never before. Dressed in a tailored black overcoat and a wide-brimmed hat that concealed most of her features, Jane blended into the shadows, her sharp eyes scanning the faces of fellow passengers. She had been summoned urgently to investigate a matter that had sent ripples of unease through the highest echelons of British society. The platform buzzed with activity as passengers hurried to find their carriages. Porters rushed to load luggage onto the train, steam billowing from the locomotive's engine. But amid the chaos, Jane's instincts honed in on one individual who seemed out of place. A tall, gaunt man with a sombre countenance stood on the platform, cloaked in a long, black overcoat. His gloved hands clutched a leather-bound book, and his eyes bore a distant, haunted look. His presence sent a chill down Jane's spine, and she couldn't help but feel that his arrival was no mere coincidence. Jane discreetly moved closer to the mysterious passenger, her keen senses on high alert. She watched as the man stepped onto the train, disappearing into one of the carriages. Jane knew that her journey had begun, and her quest for answers would take her through the twists and turns of a murder mystery set in the heart of 1800s England. With determination in her heart and a sense of foreboding in the air, Detective Jane Parsons took her first steps into the enigmatic world of murder on the Victorian Express. Her gloved hand reached into her coat pocket, where a telegram from Scotland Yard had provided her with the initial clues that would guide her investigation. The message contained little more than a name, a date, and a cryptic warning. Sir Reginald Wentworth, 14th of November. Beware the Reaper's calling. It was a puzzle that Jane needed to unravel, and the man with the leather-bound book was her first lead. Jane followed him into the dimly lit corridor of the carriage, her footsteps muffled by the plush carpeting. The carriages were opulently decorated, reminiscent of a bygone era, with polished brass lamps casting a warm, flickering light on the wood-panelled walls. The mysterious passenger had taken a seat in a corner, away from the other travellers, his book now open in his hands. Jane approached him, her voice calm and inquisitive. "May I join you, sir?" she asked, her eyes locking onto his with an intensity that seemed to pierce through the layers of his enigmatic demeanour. He looked up, startled, and hesitated for a moment before nodding. Jane took a seat across from him, and for a moment an uncomfortable silence hung in the air. The rhythmic clattering of wheels against the rails provided a haunting soundtrack to their conversation. Jane pressed on, her voice steady. "I couldn't help but notice that you have a rather distinctive aura about you, sir. Is there something on your mind that troubles you on this night?" The man, Sir Reginald Wentworth, regarded her with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. His voice was soft and tinged with melancholy as he replied, "Troubles, miss? You have no idea." As the Victorian Express surged forward into the inky darkness, Detective Jane Parsons began to uncover the layers of mystery surrounding this enigmatic passenger and the cryptic warning she had received. The train's wheels clacked on the tracks, carrying them deeper into the heart of a perplexing murder that would test her wit and resolve in ways she could not yet fathom. Chapter 2. An Unsettling Encounter in Carriage A. The Victorian Express hurtled through the night, the rhythmic clattering of its wheels against the iron tracks echoing throughout the carriages. Inside Carriage A, Detective Jane Parsons sat across from Sir Reginald Wentworth, the enigmatic passenger who had caught her attention. The dimly lit interior created an atmosphere of secrecy and intrigue as the train sped deeper into the heart of the English countryside. Sir Reginald had a faraway look in his eyes as he began to speak, the words weighed down by a heavy sense of burden. "Miss Parsons, you have an uncanny ability to sense the troubles of others. I have carried a heavy secret for many years, and it haunts me even now." Jane leaned forward, her gloved hands resting on the table between them. The leather-bound book that Sir Reginald had clutched earlier now lay open, its pages illuminated by the soft, flickering glow of the carriage's gas lamps. "I'm here to listen, Sir Reginald. Tell me what is troubling you." Sir Reginald hesitated, his fingers nervously tracing the leather cover of the book. "It begins with a nightmarish event that took place on this very train many years ago. A murder, you see, and I was a witness to it." Jane's interest piqued as she leaned in closer, her eyes locked onto his. "A murder on the Victorian Express? Please, go on." Sir Reginald's voice wavered as he continued. "It happened in the same carriage we now occupy, Carriage A. A man was found dead in his compartment, his face twisted in terror. The authorities at the time could never determine the culprit, and the case went cold. The victim was a dear friend of mine, and I was the last person to see him alive." The detective's mind raced as she processed this revelation. A murder on the same train, a friend of Sir Reginald's as the victim, and the crime unsolved for years. It was a perplexing connection to the cryptic message she had received from Scotland Yard. "Sir Reginald," Jane said, "I must know more about this murder. Can you provide any details about the victim or the circumstances surrounding the crime?" The passenger's eyes seemed to glisten with a mixture of sorrow and fear. "The victim was Sir Edward Montague, a prominent scholar and collector. He was travelling with a rare artifact, a priceless antiquity. It disappeared along with his life that night. To this day, the artifact remains missing." Sir Reginald's words hung in the air like a dark omen. Jane's thoughts raced as she pondered the implications of this chilling revelation. A missing artifact, a cold case, and the enigmatic connection to her own investigation all pointed to a web of secrets and intrigues that would unravel as she delved deeper into the mysteries of the Victorian Express. As the train continued its journey into the heart of the English countryside, Detective Jane Parsons knew that she had embarked on a journey filled with twists, turns, and unanswered questions. The shadows deepened within Carriage A, and with every passing mile, the mystery surrounding the murder on the Victorian Express grew ever more enigmatic and treacherous. The gas lamps flickered and cast long, wavering shadows on the walls of the carriage. Jane could sense that Sir Reginald held more secrets, and she needed to extract every detail to shed light on the chilling events that had occurred in the same space they now occupied. The detective couldn't help but feel the weight of history and the oppressive atmosphere of the carriage closing in on her as the train thundered on, taking them further into the heart of the enigma that awaited them. Chapter 3. Whispers of Suspicion. The Midnight Confessions. The Victorian Express continued its relentless journey through the inky darkness, its wheels clattering against the iron tracks, carrying its passengers further into the heart of the English countryside. Inside Carriage A, Detective Jane Parsons and Sir Reginald Wentworth sat in hushed conversation, the gas lamps casting eerie, shifting shadows on the wood-panelled walls. As the train hurtled forward, the sense of suspense and anticipation grew. Jane knew that she needed more details about the murder that had taken place in this very carriage years ago. She leaned in, her voice soft yet insistent. "Sir Reginald, you mentioned that you were the last person to see Sir Edward Montague alive. Can you recall the events of that night in greater detail?" Sir Reginald's eyes grew distant as he delved into his memories. "It was a stormy night, much like this one. We were travelling to Edinburgh together, Sir Edward and I. He had acquired a rare artefact, a jewel-encrusted book, and its beauty had captivated him. He kept it locked securely in a small, ornate chest. Jane's interest piqued at the mention of the artefact, and she leaned in further. "What happened that night, Sir Reginald?" Sir Reginald's voice quivered as he continued. Late in the evening, Sir Edward retired to his compartment, which was adjacent to mine. I retired as well, and the train's rhythmic motion lulled me to sleep. But in the middle of the night, I was awakened by a series of blood-curdling screams. Jane's heart quickened. "Screams? What did you do?" "I rushed to Sir Edward's compartment," Sir Reginald continued. "The door was ajar, and I found him dead, his face contorted in terror, as if he had witnessed something unimaginable. The ornate chest that held the artifact was open, and the artifact itself was gone." "Did you see anyone else in the corridor?" Jane asked. Sir Reginald shook his head. "No, I didn't see anyone, and there was no sign of a struggle. It was as if the perpetrator had vanished into thin air. I called for help, and the authorities were alerted, but the murderer was never found. The artifact, the Jewel of Midnight, had disappeared, leaving behind a legacy of fear and suspicion." The detective's mind whirled with questions. "Sir Reginald, do you recall any passengers who might have been in carriage A that night? Anyone acting suspiciously?" Sir Reginald's brows furrowed as he searched his memory. There was one passenger, a man who had boarded the train at a remote station. He seemed anxious and jittery, constantly glancing around as if he was being followed. "I did not see him after the murder." Jane nodded, making a mental note of the mysterious passenger. "And the Jewel of Midnight. Do you have any idea of its origins, or why Sir Edward was so enamoured with it?" Sir Reginald's voice dropped to a whisper. "The artifact was said to be cursed, with a dark history. Legend has it that it had caused misfortune to those who possessed it. Sir Edward was determined to prove the legend wrong, but he may have paid the ultimate price for his obsession." The train continued to speed through the night, and the weight of history bore down on Jane. She knew that the answers to this chilling mystery were somewhere within the past, hidden among secrets and deception. As the shadows in Carriage A deepened, Jane couldn't help but wonder if the cursed artifact was connected to her own investigation. The midnight hour drew nearer, and the Victorian Express carried Jane and Sir Reginald deeper into the enigmatic web of events that had transpired on this very train. Unanswered questions swirled around them, and Jane was determined to unravel the mystery. Chapter 4. The Vanishing Act, The Disappearing Stranger. The Victorian Express surged forward through the night, its rhythmic clatter blending with the low hum of the locomotive. Inside Carriage A, Detective Jane Parsons and Sir Reginald Wentworth continued their conversation, shrouded in the dim glow of the gas lamps. The tales of the cursed artifact and the murder of Sir Edward Montague weighed heavily on Jane's mind as the train carried them through the haunting English countryside. The atmosphere inside the carriage remained tense, and the detective pressed further. "Sir Reginald, this mysterious passenger you mentioned, the one who boarded at the remote station, do you recall any distinctive features or characteristics?" Sir Reginald furrowed his brow in concentration. "He was of average height, clad in a dark coat that seemed too large for him. His face was obscured by a wide-brimmed hat, and he kept to the shadows. I did not see much of him, but there was an air of unease about him." Jane absorbed this information, her mind already working to connect the pieces of the puzzle. "Did he interact with Sir Edward, or anyone else on the train?" Sir Reginald shook his head. "Not that I saw. He mostly kept to himself, disappearing into the shadows whenever someone approached. In the chaos that followed the discovery of the murder, he seemed to vanish without a trace." The detective's curiosity deepened. "Vanish? Do you mean he left the train unnoticed?" Sir Reginald hesitated before responding. "It was as if he melted into the night. When the authorities arrived, there was no sign of him. No one at the station recalled seeing such a passenger disembark, and his presence on the train became an eerie mystery in itself. Jane pondered the implications. A mysterious passenger who disappeared without a trace, coinciding with the murder of Sir Edward Montague and the theft of the Jewel of Midnight. It was a peculiar thread in the tapestry of this perplexing case. As the conversation unfolded, the train continued its journey, hurtling through tunnels and over viaducts, a rhythmic dance of light and shadow playing on the walls of Carriage A. Jane couldn't shake the feeling that they were being propelled toward a revelation, an answer that lurked just beyond reach. A sudden jolt interrupted their conversation, and the train lurched, causing Jane and Sir Reginald to brace themselves against the seats. The gas lamps flickered momentarily, casting the carriage into momentary darkness. When the light returned, Jane noticed a faint trail of something on the floor, a smudge of dirt leading towards the exit. "Sir Reginald, did you notice anything unusual just now?" Jane asked, her eyes fixed on the mysterious trail. The passenger followed her gaze and furrowed his brow. "No, I didn't see anything. What is it?" Jane stood, her keen instincts guiding her. "There's a trail of dirt here, as if someone entered or exited the carriage. I'll be back in a moment." Leaving Sir Reginald in the dimly lit compartment, Jane stepped into the corridor. The trail of dirt led her toward the end of Carriage A. The train's rhythmic clatter reverberated through the floor beneath her feet as she followed the mysterious path, wondering where it might lead and what secrets it might reveal. As she reached the end of the carriage, Jane noticed that the trail vanished abruptly, as if the person responsible for the dirt had simply disappeared into thin air. She glanced out of the window, but the night was pitch black, offering no clues to the mysterious figure's escape. Puzzled, Jane retraced her steps, the clatter of the train's wheels accompanying her thoughts. The sudden jolt had disrupted the passenger cars, creating a disorienting environment. As she returned to Carriage A, she couldn't shake the feeling that someone or something was eluding her grasp. Upon re-entering the dimly lit compartment, Jane found Sir Reginald staring out of the window with a troubled expression. "Miss Parsons," he said, "I've been thinking. Perhaps the disappearance of that stranger is connected to Sir Edward's murder and the theft of the Jewel of Midnight. Could he be the one responsible?" Jane considered the possibility. "It's a plausible theory, Sir Reginald. The timing of his arrival and departure is suspicious, and the trail of dirt suggests he might have left Carriage A. We need to find out who he is and why he vanished so abruptly." Chapter 5. Secrets in First Class, Unmasking the Aristocrats. The Victorian Express thundered through the night, its wheels clattering on the iron tracks, carrying Detective Jane Parsons and Sir Reginald Wentworth further into the heart of the English countryside. As the train continued its relentless journey, the mystery of the disappearing stranger lingered in the dimly lit confines of Carriage A, overshadowed by the tales of a murder and a stolen artifact. "Sir Reginald," she began, "we need to broaden our investigation. If the disappearing stranger holds the key to this mystery, there might be more to discover in other parts of the train." The passenger nodded in agreement, and together they made their way toward the opulent first-class compartments. The air grew thicker with anticipation as they traversed the narrow corridors, the clatter of the wheels beneath them a constant reminder of the relentless journey. First class was a realm of luxury, with plush velvet seats, polished mahogany, and ornate brass fixtures. The well-dressed passengers, engrossed in their private conversations, looked up briefly as Jane and Sir Reginald passed through. The detective's keen eyes scanned the faces, searching for any sign of recognition or guilt. As they reached the end of first class, Jane noticed a secluded compartment slightly ajar. A soft murmur of voices emanated from within. She exchanged a meaningful glance with Sir Reginald, and they approached cautiously. Peering into the compartment, Jane saw two distinguished figures engaged in an animated discussion. One was Lord Archibald Fairfax, a wealthy aristocrat known for his vast estate and extensive art collection. The other was Lady Vivian Lockhart, a renowned socialite with a penchant for scandal. Caught off guard, Lord Fairfax and Lady Lockhart ceased their conversation, exchanging wary glances with the detective and Sir Reginald. Jane's sharp intuition sensed an undercurrent of tension. "Good evening, Lord Fairfax, Lady Lockhart," Jane greeted, her tone measured. "I hope I'm not intruding, but I have a few questions regarding the events on this train." Lord Fairfax adjusted his monocle, attempting to regain composure. "Questions? What is this about, Miss Parsons?" Jane remained undeterred. "I'm investigating a murder that took place on the Victorian Express, and I believe it's linked to the disappearance of a passenger, a man who entered this carriage and seemingly vanished into thin air." Lady Lockhart feigned surprise, her fan fluttering nervously in her hand. "A murder? How dreadful! But why would you suspect anyone in first class? We are distinguished passengers, after all." Jane's gaze remained steady. "Appearances can be deceiving, Lady Lockhart. The disappearing stranger may have connections to those on this train, and I'm determined to uncover the truth." The tension in the compartment escalated, and Jane noted the subtle exchange of glances between Lord Fairfax and Lady Lockhart. Something unspoken hung in the air, an invisible thread connecting these aristocrats to the mysteries that enveloped the Victorian Express. Sir Reginald, observing the scene, spoke up. "Do either of you recall seeing a mysterious passenger, perhaps one who entered this compartment or exhibited peculiar behaviour?" Lord Fairfax feigned innocence. "I can assure you, Miss Parsons, we've been engrossed in our own discussions. No one of note has passed through here." Jane, however, remained sceptical. She couldn't shake the feeling that these aristocrats held more information than they were willing to reveal. With a polite nod, she and Sir Reginald exited the compartment, leaving Lord Fairfax and Lady Lockhart to exchange guarded glances behind them. As they retreated into the dimly lit corridor, Jane whispered to Sir Reginald, "There's more to this than meets the eye. We must delve deeper into the secrets of first class and uncover the connections that bind these aristocrats to the mysteries of the Victorian Express." The train's relentless journey continued, and with each passing moment, Jane felt the weight of history and deceit bearing down upon her. Jane, determined and resolute, would not rest until the truth behind the murder, the disappearing stranger, and the stolen artifact were unveiled. The shadows within first class held the key to unlocking the next layer of the enigma that gripped the Victorian Express. Chapter 6. Clues among the luggage, the missing cufflink. The tense encounter with Lord Fairfax and Lady Lockhart in first class lingered in the air, adding an extra layer of urgency to their investigation. In the subdued light of the luggage area, Jane surveyed the rows of neatly arranged suitcases. The passengers, engrossed in their own activities, paid little attention to the detective and her companion. The detective's sharp eyes focused on the ornate trunk belonging to Lady Vivian Lockhart. It bore the unmistakable mark of a woman of wealth and status. Jane leaned in, studying the golden filigree adorning the trunk. Her trained eyes noticed a small, overlooked detail, a cufflink caught in the latch. Its intricate design matched the filigree on Lady Lockhart's trunk, creating a curious link between the socialite and the disappearing stranger. Jane discreetly pocketed the cufflink, a tangible piece of evidence that held the promise of revealing more about the mysteries of the Victorian Express. With the stolen cufflink in hand, Jane and Sir Reginald continued their examination of the luggage. Their footsteps were muffled by the plush carpeting as they moved from one compartment to another. The detective's instincts told her that the key to the puzzle lay within these personal belongings. As they reached Lord Archibald Fairfax's luggage, Jane detected another anomaly, a faint smudge of dirt on the side of his suitcase, similar to the trail she had noticed in carriage A earlier. The discovery raised new questions. Why was there dirt on the luggage of an aristocrat, and could it be connected to the disappearance of the stranger? With their findings in hand, Jane and Sir Reginald retreated to a quieter corner of the train. The detective spoke in a low, contemplative tone. These clues are significant, but we must tread carefully. The cufflink suggests a connection between Lady Lockhart and the disappearing stranger, and the dirt on Lord Fairfax's luggage adds another layer to the mystery. Sir Reginald studied the stolen cufflink, his brow furrowed in thought. What could these clues mean? Is Lady Lockhart involved in the disappearance, or is there a more intricate web of connections among the passengers? Jane examined the cufflink more closely, searching for any distinctive markings or initials. We need to gather more information before drawing conclusions. Our next step is to confront Lord Fairfax and Lady Lockhart with what we've found. In the subdued light of the luggage area, Jane surveyed the rows of neatly arranged suitcases. The passengers, engrossed in their own activities, paid little attention to the detective and her companion. The detective's sharp eyes focused on the ornate trunk belonging to Lady Vivian Lockhart. It bore the unmistakable mark of a woman of wealth and status. Jane leaned in, studying the golden filigree adorning the trunk. Her trained eyes noticed a small, overlooked detail, a cufflink caught in the latch. Its intricate design matched the filigree on Lady Lockhart's trunk, creating a curious link between the socialite and the disappearing stranger. Jane discreetly pocketed the cufflink, a tangible piece of evidence that held the promise of revealing more about the mysteries of the Victorian Express. With the stolen cufflink in hand, Jane and Sir Reginald continued their examination of the luggage. Their footsteps were muffled by the plush carpeting as they moved from one compartment to another. The detective's instincts told her that the key to the puzzle lay within these personal belongings. As they reached Lord Archibald Fairfax's luggage, Jane detected another anomaly, a faint smudge of dirt on the side of his suitcase, similar to the trail she had noticed in carriage A earlier. The discovery raised new questions. Why was there dirt on the luggage of an aristocrat, and could it be connected to the disappearance of the stranger? With their findings in hand, Jane and Sir Reginald retreated to a quieter corner of the train. The detective spoke in a low, contemplative tone. These clues are significant, but we must tread carefully. The cufflink suggests a connection between Lady Lockhart and the disappearing stranger, and the dirt on Lord Fairfax's luggage adds another layer to the mystery. Sir Reginald studied the stolen cufflink and said, "What could these clues mean? Is Lady Lockhart involved in the disappearance, or is there a more intricate web of connections among the passengers?" Jane examined the cufflink more closely, searching for any distinctive markings or initials. We need to gather more information before drawing conclusions. Our next step is to confront Lord Fairfax and Lady Lockhart with what we've found. Chapter 7. The Confrontation, Unveiling Secrets in First Class. The Victorian Express stood momentarily still as passengers disembarked at the station, a brief pause in its journey through the English night. Jane and Sir Reginald stepped onto the platform, the cool air greeting them as they prepared to confront the aristocrats, Lord Archibald Fairfax and Lady Vivian Lockhart. Jane and Sir Reginald approached Lord Fairfax and Lady Lockhart's compartment. The aristocrats, seemingly composed, looked up with feigned surprise as the detective and her companion entered. "Good evening, Lord Fairfax, Lady Lockhart," Jane greeted, her tone composed but firm. "We need to discuss a few matters concerning the events on this train." Lady Lockhart's fan fluttered nervously in her hand, and Lord Fairfax adjusted his monocle, attempting to maintain an air of nonchalance. "Discuss matters? What is the meaning of this, Miss Parsons?" inquired Lord Fairfax. Jane's gaze remained steady as she produced the stolen cufflink from her pocket. "I believe this cufflink may shed light on the mysteries surrounding the disappearance of a passenger and the murder on the Victorian Express. It was found caught in the latch of Lady Lockhart's trunk." A flicker of surprise crossed Lady Lockhart's face, but she quickly regained her composure. "A cufflink? I have no idea how it could have ended up there. Perhaps it belongs to a servant who handled my luggage." Jane continued, undeterred. "That may be, Lady Lockhart, But this is not the only clue we have. There was also a trail of dirt on Lord Fairfax's luggage, reminiscent of the trail we found in carriage A care. To explain that, Lord Fairfax's monocle slipped slightly, revealing a hint of unease. Dirt? I cannot fathom how that would be on my luggage. Perhaps it's a mistake. The detective maintained a measured composure. Mistake or not, these clues suggest a connection between you both and the disappearing stranger. I suspect you may know more than you've shared. Lady Lockhart, her facade cracking, spoke hesitantly. We are unaware of any stranger or their disappearance. What nonsense is this? Jane's gaze pierced through the facade. The disappearing stranger boarded this train and vanished without a trace. There is a connection between them, the murder of Sir Edward Montague and the theft of the Jewel of Midnight. Your reactions, the dirt, and the cufflink suggest an intricate web of secrets. Now, I ask you both to tell the truth. The compartment fell silent as the weight of Jane's words settled in the air. The aristocrats exchanged guarded glances, their composed demeanour giving way to a palpable tension. Sir Reginald, observing the scene, stood by the detective's side, his presence reinforcing the gravity of the situation. After a prolonged moment, Lord Fairfax broke the silence. Very well, Miss Parsons, I will tell you. Lady Lockhart and I share a history with Sir Edward Montague and the cursed artefact, the Jewel of Midnight. Jane's interest heightened. Explain. What is your connection to Sir Edward and the artefact? Lord Fairfax took a deep breath, and with an air of reluctant honesty, he began to reveal a tale that intertwined their fates with the cursed artefact. As the aristocrat's words unfolded, Jane listened intently, knowing that the revelations held the key to understanding the enigma that had ensnared the train and its passengers in a web of dark secrets. Lord Fairfax recounted the tale of an ill-fated expedition to acquire the Jewel of Midnight, a precious artefact rumoured to be cursed. Sir Edward Montague, Lady Lockhart, and himself had been part of the endeavour, seeking the elusive jewel to add to their collections. The expedition had taken a treacherous turn, resulting in the death of Sir Edward Montague and the disappearance of the cursed artefact. A shiver ran down Jane's spine as the aristocrat spoke of the mysterious occurrences that followed, the unexplained phenomena, the whispers of a vengeful spirit, and the unrelenting fear that had haunted them since that ill-fated journey. Lady Lockhart, her eyes reflecting a mixture of guilt and fear, added her own perspective to the narrative. She spoke of the growing tension among the expedition members, the paranoia. Chapter 8. Whispers in the Shadows. Unravelling the Curse. As the revelations of Lord Fairfax and Lady Lockhart hung heavy in the compartment, Jane absorbed the weight of the dark history that connected the aristocrats and the Jewel of Midnight. The tale of an ill-fated expedition, the death of Sir Edward Montague, and the disappearance of the cursed artefact wove a web of intrigue that cast shadows over the Victorian Express. The air within the compartment felt charged with tension, and Jane, her gaze unwavering, directed her next question at the aristocrats. The disappearance of the stranger, the murder, and the theft of the Jewel of Midnight. Do you believe these events are somehow connected to the curse associated with the artefact? Lord Fairfax exchanged a wary glance with Lady Lockhart before responding, "It is hard to dismiss the possibility, Miss Parsons. The curse of the Jewel of Midnight has haunted us since that ill-fated expedition. Strange occurrences, unexplained phenomena, and a sense of impending doom have followed us, leading to a climate of fear among those who were part of the expedition." Lady Lockhart added with a shiver, "The curse is said to exact its toll on those who possess the jewel, bringing misfortune and tragedy. Could it be that the disappearance of the stranger and the murder are manifestations of the curse, seeking retribution for our involvement in acquiring the Jewel of Midnight?" Jane considered their words carefully, aware that the paranormal elements added another layer of complexity to the case. If the curse is real, We must find a way to break it. Sir Reginald, who had been listening attentively, interjected. The disappearance of the stranger, the murder, and the theft of the artifact all occurred on this train. There must be a connection between the events and the curse. We need to identify the missing pieces of the puzzle, those elements that tie everything together. The aristocrats, visibly disturbed by the unfolding events, nodded in agreement. The weight of the curse hung over them like a shroud, and the realization that their actions might have set in motion a chain of tragic events cast a somber atmosphere in the compartment. Jane, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts, formulated a plan. We must continue our investigation, seeking clues that bridge the gap between the curse, the disappearing stranger, and the murder. The Victorian Express holds the secrets we seek, hidden within its narrow corridors and dimly lit compartments. As the train continued its journey through the night, Jane, Sir Reginald, Lord Fairfax, and Lady Lockhart embarked on a collaborative effort to decipher the mysteries that enveloped them. In the dim glow of gas lamps, the passengers of the Victorian Express engaged in hushed conversations, oblivious to the unfolding drama. The detective, the aristocrats, and Sir Reginald, united by a common goal, pressed forward into the shadows, determined to uncover the truth that lurked within the haunted corridors of the train. They traversed carriage B, where the murder had taken place, its air still heavy with the echoes of the tragic event. Jane scrutinized the compartment, searching for any signs that might lead them closer to the heart of the curse. As her eyes moved over the furnishings, she noticed a peculiar symbol etched on the window, a symbol that seemed to resonate with the tales of the cursed artifact. The symbol, an intricate design resembling an ancient sigil, held a mystique that captivated Jane's attention. Its presence hinted at a deeper connection between the curse and the events unfolding on the Victorian Express. With a sense of urgency, she shared her discovery with the group. There is more to this curse than we know. Let us continue our journey seeking the symbols, the whispers, and the clues that will guide us toward breaking the curse that binds us. Chapter 9. Symbols of the Past, Deciphering the Enigma. As the Victorian Express hurtled through the night, Detective Jane Parsons, Sir Reginald Wentworth, Lord Archibald Fairfax, and Lady Vivian Lockhart continued their journey through the haunted corridors of the train. The discovery of the mysterious symbol in carriage B had added a new layer to their investigation, hinting at a connection between the curse and the events that unfolded within the dimly lit compartments. Their path led them through the narrow passages of the Victorian Express, the rhythmic clatter of the wheels underscoring the anticipation that hung in the air. As they reached carriage C, Jane's keen eyes scanned the surroundings for any signs of the symbol. The compartment appeared ordinary, with passengers engaged in subdued conversations or peering out of windows into the inky darkness. Yet, the detective's intuition urged her to delve deeper, to uncover the secrets concealed within the seemingly mundane. The symbol eluded them in carriage C, prompting the group to press on to the next compartment. Jane's thoughts raced as she considered the significance of the mysterious sigil. As they entered carriage D, a sense of foreboding lingered in the air. The passengers in this section appeared less at ease, their expressions tense, as if aware of the enigma that surrounded them. Jane's eyes carefully surveyed the interior, seeking the elusive symbol that might offer a clue to the unfolding mysteries. In the corner of the compartment, near a worn velvet seat, Jane noticed a subtle engraving, a variation of the sigil discovered in carriage B. The symbol, etched discreetly into the window frame, seemed to resonate with the tales of the cursed artifact and the ominous history of the ill-fated expedition. Excitement and trepidation filled the detective as she pointed to the symbol. "Look, here it is again. There's a connection between these symbols and the curse. They seem to be guiding us, perhaps offering a path to breaking the curse and solving the mystery." The aristocrats exchanged glances, their unease palpable. Lady Lockhart whispered, "Could it be that these symbols hold the key to ending the curse, as if the train itself is trying to guide us toward a resolution?" Jane nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "We must document these symbols and their locations. They may be a form of communication, a language that we need to decipher." With notebooks in hand, the group meticulously documented each occurrence of the symbol as they moved through the compartments of the train. The Victorian Express became a canvas, painted with the ancient sigils that seemed to echo the shadows of the past. As they traversed carriage E, the gas lamps casting an eerie glow on their surroundings, Jane couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of a breakthrough. The symbols, once enigmatic, now represented a tangible thread that connected the curse, the disappearing stranger, the murder, and the jewel of midnight. In the silence of carriage F, Jane's eyes widened as she spotted the symbol prominently displayed on a small placard near the entrance. Its intricacies seemed to come alive, pulsating with an otherworldly energy. The detective felt a chill down her spine, realizing that this symbol held a significance beyond what they had initially imagined. As the group gathered around the symbol, a soft vibration resonated through the compartment. The gas lamps flickered momentarily before steadying, and an ethereal whisper echoed in the air. The voice, laden with the weight of the past, seemed to convey a message, an invitation to unlock the mysteries that shrouded the Victorian Express. The detective, aristocrats, and Sir Reginald stood in the dimly lit compartment, their senses heightened by the spectral presence that lingered. Chapter 10. Echoes of the Past, the Ritual Unveiled. As the ethereal whispers faded away, leaving carriage F in an otherworldly silence, Detective Jane Parsons exchanged a meaningful glance with her companions, Sir Reginald Wentworth, Lord Archibald Fairfax, and Lady Vivian Lockhart. The symbols, now documented in their notebooks, seemed to resonate with a mysterious energy, guiding them toward a revelation that promised to unravel the curse that bound the Victorian Express. The gas lamps flickered intermittently, casting dancing shadows on the compartment walls. Jane, her intuition guiding her steps, approached the symbol on the placard. It pulsed with an otherworldly glow, as if responding to the presence of those who sought to unveil the secrets concealed within the train. "Whatever force guides us seems to be leading us to this symbol," Jane remarked, her voice steady despite the supernatural atmosphere. "It's as if the Victorian Express itself is urging us to unlock the mysteries of the curse. We must decipher the ritual hidden within these symbols to bring an end to the haunting events that have plagued this train." With a shared determination, the group studied the symbols, comparing the variations they had discovered in each compartment. As they delved into the patterns, a realization dawned upon them. The symbols formed a sequence, a carefully crafted language that transcended the boundaries of time and space. Jane, her detective instincts ablaze, began to piece together the sequence. "Look at the order of the symbols. It's not random. It's as if each symbol represents a step in a ritual. If we follow the sequence, we might uncover the key to breaking the curse." Sir Reginald, with a scholar's curiosity, scrutinized the symbols and nodded in agreement. "It's a language, a code that we need to decipher. These symbols are not merely decorations. They hold the power to unlock the secrets of the curse." As the group traced the sequence, they discovered a correlation between the symbols and the compartments in which they appeared. Each symbol, strategically placed in different carriages, formed a narrative, a story etched into the very fabric of the Victorian Express. The journey itself, it seemed, held the key to understanding the curse. With the sequence in hand, Jane led the group through carriage G, where the gas lamps cast long shadows that seemed to dance with anticipation. The symbol in this compartment appeared more intricate, suggesting a pivotal point in the unfolding ritual. As they reached the symbol, Jane's fingers traced its contours, and a subtle vibration resonated through the carriage. The gas lamps flickered more intensely, casting a soft, spectral glow. The whispers returned, guiding them through the ritual as if the train itself was alive with the echoes of the past. "Follow the sequence," Jane urged, her voice barely above a whisper. "The symbols hold the key. We must unlock each step of the ritual to break the curse." With a collective breath, the group embraced the journey into the heart of the ritual. Carriage by carriage, symbol by symbol, they moved through the Victorian Express, their senses heightened by the mysterious energy that enveloped them. As they reached carriage H, the final compartment in the sequence, the symbols seemed to converge into a climactic design. The gas lamps flickered wildly, casting an otherworldly glow on the surroundings. The whispers crescendoed, echoing the stories of the curse, the disappearing stranger, and the murder that had haunted the train. Jane, standing before the last symbol, felt a surge of energy coursing through her. The ritual, meticulously followed, seemed to reach its zenith. The gas lamps dimmed momentarily, before returning to their steady glow, and an inexplicable calm settled over the carriage. The detective, her gaze unwavering, spoke with a sense of finality. "We have followed the sequence, unveiled the symbols, and listened to the echoes of the past. Now, we must wait and see if the ritual has lifted the curse that binds the Victorian Express." The group stood in carriage H, the air heavy with anticipation. As the train hurtled through the night, the shadows seemed to dissipate, replaced by a newfound clarity. The Victorian Express, once a vessel of enigma and tragedy, now carried a sense of resolution. As the passengers continued their journey, oblivious to the mystical events that had unfolded, the detective and her companions remained vigilant, ready to face whatever awaited them at the end of the line. The mysteries of the Victorian Express, entwined with the symbols and the echoes of the past, had become a story written in the language of the supernatural. Detective Jane Parsons, having navigated the haunted corridors and deciphered the ritual, stood prepared for the final chapter, the revelation that awaited them as the train approached its destination. The Victorian Express rumbled through the night, its wheels carrying the weight of the past and the anticipation of a destiny about to unfold. The symbols, once enigmatic, had become a roadmap leading the passengers through the shadows of history. The journey was reaching its climax, and Jane, with her unwavering resolve, was poised to confront the truth that lay at the end of the spectral tracks.